So welcome to the Node.js Community Technical Steering Committee meeting for October 31st, 2018. We're following our standard agenda, so we will flip over to that. So first of all, does anybody have any announcements that they'd like to share?
We're supposed to announce the nominations for collaborators that have passed. There are, I believe, 3. There's Peter Marshall, and I know the GitHub handles, but I don't know the actual names of the other 2. Does anyone know the actual names? Dennis, I think.
I know there's someone called Ouyang Yadong. That's a Chinese name. And what's the other one?
Masashi Hirano. Exactly. Just put it in the chat. So yeah, those are the 3, and we should probably link to the issues in the minutes. I'll do that, Michael, while you keep the meeting running, and if anybody else has announcements.
Sounds great. Any other announcements? I guess the only thing I'll re-highlight is that I believe it looks like the next meeting of the Bootstrap Committee is going to be on Monday at 2 Eastern. So if you're interested in that and the governance discussions are going on there, please participate. Any other announcements? No? Okay, so let's move on to the items which are on our agenda. The first one is under Node.js/Node number 23433, which is FS behavior of read and write file descriptors. I think there's been discussion there on a number of options and a call to vote, I believe. So, but I don't think we have the fourth eye to...
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, can you...
He might only be able to type in the chat. I'm not sure, but he's up there.
You want to give us a sort of outline of that one? I'm just promoting somebody at the same time.
Sure. We discussed multiple options in the GitHub. The first option, excuse me. The first option is to land the PR 23709, which makes write file consistent with the behavior of read file, reading from the current position. And the second option is to make read file and write file to read and write from the beginning of the file when we're using them with file descriptors. And the third one is basically similar to number 2. But if the file descriptor actually doesn't correspond to a regular file, let's throw an error from the JavaScript line itself. And yeah, that's it. Fourth option is to remove the file descriptor support altogether with read file and write file function with respect to read file and write file functions. Option 5 is to just leave the current behavior as it is. Just document the current behavior, and that's it. So these are the 5 options. I'm not sure if we have the quorum to vote.
I don't think we have, and I think Rich's suggestion that we should actually try and get the vote done in GitHub makes sense anyway.
Yeah, sure. I created a table in the issue 23433 itself. Probably we can add our opinions, add our options there.
I guess the other thing is the one question I had is it okay for people to have multiple options listed? Because that, you know, if people vote twice versus once, I'm not quite sure how that works out in the voting. Yes, just opening up that as a discussion, right? Sorry, Rich?
Yeah, especially if you prefer one option over the other, but you know, does that mean we're going to end up with a bunch of votes for an option everybody finds tolerable when in fact there's sufficient support for one people might like more? Yeah, I don't know, but we could certainly, I mean, exactly set up a table in the issue. We can start filling it in and go from there, I guess.
Right. Okay.
Probably once we have initial set of numbers, we can reduce the number of options, and then probably we can, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just like trim the ones that clearly have no support, and then go from there.
Yeah, and actually have a vote on, you know, the actual vote on some smaller number.
Yeah. Okay, so probably let's take this up next week.
Okay, sounds good.
So one quick note, it looked like, if I'm not mistaken, this did not get picked up by the tooling for some reason, even though it was labeled, or maybe something weird happened, who knows, but let's keep it on for next week.
Yeah, so did you add it to the...
It was labeled 6 days ago.
Right, did you add it to the Google Doc? Because it was in the Google Doc, it wasn't in the...
Somebody probably added it to the Google Doc, maybe Sakthi did, I don't know.
I'm not sure, actually. I think it could be that there's sometimes I've seen some glitches where for some reason it doesn't generate anything, because it wasn't just this one. There was nothing in the main issue. But
okay.
In the Google Doc, it was there.
Okay, all right.
And I just copied it. And, so yeah, I think it was just a hiccup.
Okay, let's not. Okay, cool. Thanks.
The one question, while we're on this one, I did think is, like, have we had end users report this as a problem? I know there's a bunch of issues that aren't necessarily linked in here where it's been discussed a number of times, but like, are we having end users reporting problems because of this, or is this just we've figured out it's inconsistent?
As far as I remember, there are a few issues created by our collaborators. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing any issues actually created by end users.
Okay, I just wanted to understand, like, if we're, because we're potentially going to cause some work for our end users, so I wanted to understand if it was them that were complaining in the first place or not.
What has this been assessed with Canary in the goldmine?
I didn't get that. Can you repeat?
Has the potential breakage been assessed with Canary in the goldmine?
Oh yeah, the CATGM, right? It was actually failing, and I've been asking for some help from the CATGM team. Let me get that.
If you have a link you can share with me, I can definitely take a look and see what's going on there. There are some known failures, and I can help point those out.
If I'm not mistaken, there are 5 proposed options, so we can't really run Canary in the Gold Mine until we get the options sorted anyway, right? Or, oh wait, this is a pull request. Never mind. Oh, that's the link to the... Okay, I see. Never mind. Yeah, I'll stop talking now. Nikita has his hand up.
Yes, I have a question about options 2 and 3. If we introduce a change, how would the users that depend on the old behavior notice that the file descriptors, that when they use the file descriptors, that the behavior has changed? Can we emit a warning in that case when a file descriptor is used with non-zero offset? So is that included in options 2 and 3?
I'm not answering that question, but I'm pointing out that Jeremiah needs to be promoted.
Okay, I will promote him.
Yeah.
So basically, Shakur, you're asking how would end users know when the behavior has changed? And like, so if you're supporting multiple versions and it works in one way and one version works differently in a different way, how would you know or be able to tell? Is that the question?
Yes, I left a comment in the GitHub issue.
Okay. Okay, so I guess it sounds like we should, continue the discussion in GitHub. People, in addition to that, then, if we can get down to the table showing the general sense, and then maybe we can pare down to a smaller number of issues, but we'll leave it on the agenda to make sure we come back to this and keep moving it forward. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay. So tracking issue for updating on board meetings. I believe I heard Myles. So is there any update on that front?
Nothing for right now. We've been having the weekly Bootstrap meetings. Aside from that, there's not currently a date for the November board meeting. I'm going to follow up with Mike Dolan and figure out when that will be.
Okay. Okay, so let's flip over to strategic initiatives, number 423. Navigating there. Okay, so modules.
I guess that one's me as well.
Yes, it is.
We landed tentative phase 2 for the modules fork. It includes some high-level bits such as improving the overall user experience for CommonJS interop. I'm going to dig up the actual doc so I'm not wrong on it, on the language we've decided on. Removing support in the, oh no, that was phase 2. Phase 2, explore design space for virtual module from source, improve CommonJS interoperability, and define semantics for importing a package entry point are the 3 big things that we're going to be exploring while we also work on phase 3, which is a loader implementation. There are now issues open discussing a handful of these. Our next meeting is next week.
Okay, I'm just going to paste in the link to the doc that you had there.
I'm going to interrupt one more time just to point out that we now have 10 people, which means we do have quorum for consensus but I don't think we are anywhere near consensus on that previous issue, so there's probably no point in going back to it. Is that everyone else?
That's my take.
Okay.
Unless anybody disagrees. Okay, on to the next one on the strategic initiative. So on APIs, we have a workshop at NodeConf EU. And otherwise, we just continue to work through, mostly adding functionality or fixing, testing and so forth on Node add-on API. Interestingly, we did get some more involvement from the Electron team, which is good to help on that story. That's probably about all that I should say. OpenSSL evolution, I don't think we have broad. The only thing I will call out on that front is that it sounds like OpenSSL is now, had a number of changes which were landing, but not necessarily triggering releases. So we need to sort of think about whether we'll float those or not. So there's a discussion on that front. And if you're interested and have thoughts, definitely get engaged. Workers, I don't think we don't have any this week. Error messages, Joyee, I don't know if there's anything on that front.
No, there's nothing about errors this week.
Okay. Core Promise APIs, has James joined yet? I don't think so. Governance, Myles, I don't know if there's anything you want to say on that front.
I think they got stripped into the Bootstrap conversations. The really high level bits on that right now, there's a discussion around if we could potentially find ways to make budgets available at a lower entity than the board. So could there be, budget committee, or could higher level governance groups be responsible for budget and make it easier for people to get access to budget? There's another discussion happening around board representation and a bunch of kind of meta discussion around the governance of the group deciding the governance are the big conversations that are happening right now.
Right. The one I'd call out is the budget discussion. It's in my mind that the key difference is that the ownership for the budgets would be with the project as opposed to with the foundation. So that's the big shift. So if that is interesting in terms of having the project sort of lead on those things, that's an area to sort of read up on and get involved in the discussion. Okay, next thing is new stream APIs. Jeremiah, do you have anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I don't know if I've made TC meetings. The Club Summit? No, I haven't. So I presented it more at the Club Summit, and it seemed like everyone was happy with my work so far. So work so far, again, can be found at pushrock123/bob, that repo. Now I'm getting work spun up to try to get a Streams 3 to this API adapter in place. That's the next big step before we can start moving ahead with trying to integrate it into a fork of Node.
Okay, I was just going to ask, is there any reason why we can't have the work under the the Node.js org, but it sounds like you've got one more step you want before that happens.
So it was kind of the consensus at the Collab Summit that the work as it is now doesn't really make sense under the org, because this work is probably going to be thrown away to get it in some form in a core fork. So we'll worry about that when it comes.
Okay. V8 currency. I think we have Michael Zasso. So async hooks. We don't have Ali and open web standards.
There is one thing to be said. I can say about async hooks.
Yep.
We had a long whole deep dive yesterday evening about that, and we have decided to resurrect my current async resource PR, because the main blocker has been resolved in September. So that work could actually be restarted. So this is also tied to a bad bug that we have on domain that will cause a memory leak, so, which this is present in 10. So yeah, it's anyway, this work is going to move forward.
Okay, so and your PR exposes, just for the minutes.
Async, so basically it exposes the current async resource, so that it could potentially be used as a weak map key or attaching the object directly to it, so that there will remove the need of a destroy hook to actually clean up the memory.
Right.
And the memory leak that we currently have with domain is happening because we are relying on the garbage collector to fire us the destroy hook for promises. However, there is an object linked into from the global map that we currently use integer IDs that links to that promise. So basically, the end result will be that hook is never going to be called.
Okay. All right, thanks. Open web standards. I don't know, Myles, Joyee, which of you two wants to take that one?
Joyee has been far more active in the conversation.
Okay, I can take this one. So the past week we had discussions around the process that we want to use in terms of implementing or propose to implementing a standard. A possible outcome of that discussion would be a pull request in the TSC repo. I'm thinking about the same kind of suggestions as we make in the collaborator in the governance guide about collaborator nominations. So that will be like suggestions on how to implement and ship a standard, and we may try that out with some standards we're looking at, for example, strings, and see if the process work out, and like we can polish that along the way. And there's another discussion about the membership of the open standards team. So it's still sort of a open-ended discussion. So whoever wants to chime in can open like the open standards issue 9. So there's a thread about who's eligible for membership and what's the goal of this group. Should we have meetings or whatnot? Yeah. So if you're interested, please look into the issue.
Okay.
So another possible outcome of that discussion would be like pull requests into the README of the open standards repo, and possibly adding more people into the open standards team. I'm not sure if we should add people from other standards bodies into the group as a external collaborator or as member to the organization? What do you think?
So far, whenever somebody joins one of our working groups or teams, I think they get added to the organization.
Yeah.
You can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, by default, the checkbox of making someone a organization member is like checked when you invite somebody to a team. I'm not sure like if we should still keep it that way for the open standards group, or are we going to make them external collaborators?
Yeah, there are a few groups where we don't do that, and I forget which ones. But
I guess, Myles, how about for modules? What did we do there?
Modules is under members.
I'd be inclined to err on the side of making people members, but
yeah, I'm too. And like
opinions for sure, but like if it's just like a coin toss, let's just make them members.
Yeah. Does anybody have a concern about making them members?
Guess not.
Okay,
okay, maybe I would just. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think we have something to benefit from making those people members and giving them a stake and helping them engage. I don't really see us at a loss personally in any way.
It doesn't sound like anybody else is voicing any concern, so we should probably just go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a progress later with that point, like documented, and see if anyone else outside of meeting has any opinions. If nobody has opinions, then we can just land it, I guess.
Sounds good. Just taking a look there. Okay, that takes us to the end of the strategic initiatives and of our existing agenda. Is there anything that anybody would like to add in terms of things to discuss or talk about? Okay, sounds like no. So just moving on to question and answer. Okay, I just asked that there's one question that says, is there a Slack community? I'll give my understanding, other people can chime in. We don't have an official Node.js project Slack community, but there is the Node.js Slackers Slack community, which is I'm going to get the terminology wrong, but a partner community, I think we've called it. And there's a number of collaborators who are active there, I believe.
Yeah, and you can join it by going to www.nodeslackers.com, and there is a type form there to register for that Slack, but it is not an official communication channel. We only have so much so much we can do to monitor different places. I believe though that the people who do run the Node Slackers, the Node Slack have adopted our code of conduct. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that.
Yes,
But
they've agreed to abide by our code of conduct, and basically, that's part of becoming one of our partner communities. Is you need to have a compatible, or adopt or have a compatible code of conduct.
I'll also add that the build working group has a channel in there that channel in there that sort of mirrors IRC. Like that is like a semi-official channel, I guess, in some respect, because it's one of our official communication channels.
Right. Okay, and great. So I guess there's a mention that his has been down, sadly. Okay, that's Node Slackers.
I'm in it right now.
I guess maybe at different times.
Maybe the form is down or something. Oh, yeah, no, there we go. It's on. Yeah. Let me send a test message. Anyway, all right. Well, I'll take a look at that. But
okay, yep. And let's see. That's all of the questions we have. It says, and Stephen K said thank you. So if there's no other questions, I think we will call it for today. And I'm going to stop the stream. Everybody can stick around.